I've been experimenting with actually putting on your arm. So like I have this case that holds it, and then I put the sensors on my arm. So we'll see how that goes. But
Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Walter, you turned me on to the Neurophone. So I just wanted to tell people about it, what your experiences are, and I can share some of my experiences also.
Yeah, sure. So there's sort of like two ways, I guess, that I see it for use. And we'll put a link in for people who are interested. I think their new ones aren't really the Neo Neurophone. I don't think they have them anymore. I think you have to get like a used one, but you can probably find them. So unfortunately, the inventor, he's died. So I don't know what the plans are, if they're going to be making any more. Maybe his wife will commission another lot of them or whatever. So basically, the device was invented by this guy named Patrick Flanagan, and what it was meant to do was help deaf people hear. And the way that happens, it pulls sound in, and it actually, instead of echoing the sound off your ear canal like normally, and what happens is it kind of, you put these two pads, they look like electrode things, and you put them on your head, and you actually hear the sound through your skull, which is really kind of weird. So that's one thing. And you can actually learn, like they say, that you can put, almost like hypnosis, how you get hypnotized and then they give you suggestions. You can kind of do that because it can entrain your brain waves so that you're at a certain level of alpha or whatever, and then, or theta, and then you can put information like how to speak a language or subliminal thoughts that you want, like any sort of suggestions. You can put that in there, so you can kind of get really relaxed and then plug in an audio source, and then you may or may not hear it, but the idea is that it actually will be in your subconscious. I remember for the longest time I couldn't hear it, and then eventually I did hear it, and I was like, oh, okay, I could hear, the subconscious, like the audio input. I could actually hear it if you're quiet enough, And so that's kind of the way I see it, is sort of using it for two different ways. And the research is that they had these gurus, that were meditating out in India in the caves for decades. They tested their brainwaves, and they found that it was really interesting that they had all of their brainwaves elevated, which is normally not the case. Normally, we humans have one or another. Like you and I would be in beta right now, which is sort of your waking state. And that's sort of the dominant brainwave. And then maybe when you're relaxing, watching a movie or something, and then it becomes alpha, and then maybe when you're sleeping, you're down into theta or even delta at certain stages. So there's kind of like one brainwave that becomes dominant. And what they found with these gurus, these meditative dudes, that they like had all of them elevated, and they found that the same thing would happen for people when they were using the Neurophone. It's kind of like a brain tool, subliminal. So if you know about brainwave entrainment, you can get your brainwaves to a certain level. You can also put some inputs in there, like subliminal information, and you can read books in a way, like when I say read, like read books, plug the book in, or the audio book, and see if you know what I mean, if you retain that. So it's kind of a fun tool, but I've misplaced mine, so I've been looking for it, and because I really miss it. And I know you can find used ones. There was a guy in Canada that had some of the older ones, not the new ones, for sale. Maybe we can find that link for people. But what did you do? What did you find?
Yeah, no, totally. I found that I can concentrate a lot better, and then I actually get this like ringing in my ear after I use it, and that's, some people would say that's what, tinnitus or whatever that.
Tinnitus,
yeah. Other people will also say that that's because you're more sensitive to more subtle energies or subtle frequencies. So I tend to think it's the latter. So, but just from a cognitive perspective, like I can focus better. It does help with learning things, and I haven't done the language thing yet. That's right. My next thing also. You can actually get the older one. This is the older one.
Yeah, that's the older one. Yeah.
You can get it brand new from Canada, and if you pay in Bitcoin, he gives you like a $50 discount or something.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
You got to trust the guy and stuff, but that's been my experience so far, and it's been really helpful just to like kind of zone in and concentrate.
Because they were talking about making another, because they sold out of the Neo Neurophones, and then they made another. They said they were going to do it again, like make another lot of them, but then for some reason they said, nah, we're not going to do it. And so everyone was like, oh, so I'm sure you can find used ones out there, like, or older ones or whatever, because he had several versions. I mean, I think he invented it like in the 50s or something. Like, it's a really
you see, like, the old school ones with like the tube sticking out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool stuff.
And did you hear the story about how they got the patent? The story about how he got the patent is really cool. How Patrick was young, he's 13 or 15 or whatever. And his dad said, well, I know a patent lawyer. And they applied for a patent for it, the Neurophone. And the patent office came back and said, no, there's nothing out there like this. So patent rejected. he goes, well, where would I get something protected that has never been invented before, if not the patent office, And what they were basically saying was, we need to see science that links up all the elements of your, patent. And so they said, listen, if you come to DC, and we've got a deaf person in the office here, come to DC and show it to the deaf person. We'll plug them in and all that. And if it works, we'll grant you your patent. Because usually once they reject it, that's it. That's the story, is that typically you do not get there's no appeal or whatever. It's nope, patent rejected, boom, that's it. So yeah, and they did, and they plugged it into the person working there, and they started crying because they could hear again and all that. And so it was because they played her favorite record or whatever,
Hey there, I hope you're finding this episode useful. I just wanted to let you know that Walter and I give away something valuable every month that helps traders improve their skills. You can enter to win by simply leaving an iTunes review and leaving a comment on our YouTube videos. At the end of each month, we'll look at the comments and reviews from the month, and we'll pick a winner at random. Each comment and each review counts for one entry during the month that it's submitted. So if you're interested in that, be sure to enter after this podcast is over. All right, back to the episode.
And so, yeah, she could hear again. I guess she must have had hearing and then lost it, and then got it back with the Neurophone. But yeah, so it's a really interesting device if you're into those sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah. How would it apply to traders, would you say?
Well, what I used to do, I used to do exactly what you were saying for concentration. So I would put it on and then I would look at my charts. So in the morning, my routine is that in the morning I wake up and I kind of look at my charts and see what is there anything that's looking good? And then in the evening, which is when London is trading, that's when I actually kind of put my orders in, right? Usually, that's how I usually trade. What I would do is actually put it on in the morning and then go and look at my charts. Because I found the same thing that you're saying. It really kind of, you feel switched on. And I used to, when we did podcasts without the cameras on, I used to wear it on the podcast. The old podcast that we did, The Truth About FX, I was always wearing that on, you know what I mean? I had it on my head. Yeah. I found the same thing you did, basically. Some people use coffee or whatever, but it's a really good way to kind of, if you're doing back testing or you're making any sort of decisions that you want to be on point, I would definitely say, yeah, that's something to use.
Yeah, and I think if you do some positive affirmations or whatever, you could probably feed that in also, right? That's what I've been doing, and I think it's been helping. I've been experimenting with actually putting on your arm. So I have this case that holds it, and then I put the sensors on my arm. So we'll see how that goes, but I just started using that.
Some people get shocked. Did you know that? Have you ever let someone use it and they are like, yeah. No, I did that to my friend, and he was like, get that off me, I think you can make it more intense and less intense and louder and whatever. Yeah. There's a volume and there's an intensity, and so it's kind of a different. So everyone's going to react differently, like they said,
Yeah, but just another cool tool to experiment with and see if it works for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Walter.
See ya.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.